In this video I'm going to talk about Active Directory shadow accounts and Citrix federated authentication services. With these two solutions, what we can basically do is our third parties and contractors and vendors, we can set up a user account for them on our identity provider. So I'm going to be using Okta in this example. And then basically as part of the SAML token, the signed token, when the NetScaler extracts the user principal name, the SAML assertion, we can map that to a matching Active Directory shadow account within our AD, which has the same user principal name. What this basically does, the benefits of this, is it allows us to secure our on-prem Active Directory accounts, so the contractors, the vendors and the customers never know the details of the Active Directory account. They don't know the username, they don't know the password. So basically when they connect to the VDA using the smart card logon, what basically happens is they can't hop and log in to anything else on your trusted network, so they won't be able to RDP or access UNC shares because they don't know the username and password. So it's very good, very secure, especially for vendors, contractors and customers. Literally all you have to do is on your IDP, the account is federated to the IDP, so you set the account up on the IDP, and then we'll create a matching UPN suffix and on-prem AD and set up the shadow account. So I'm going to show you how to set this up. So first of all, we're going to log into Okta and create an account for our contractor. Our contractor is called JBlogs, Joe Blogs. So we're going to basically create an account called jblogs@gmail.com. We're going to set that up with a fixed password. That password, as I say, is only on the IDP. That account doesn't exist in our on-prem AD. This is an account just purely a local account on the IDP. I do use the Okta AD agent, so I am syncing my on-prem AD accounts to Okta, but in this example, this is just a local account on the IDP. So the first thing we're going to do is just create a new user account. So I'm going to create the account. So first name Joe, last name Blogs, and then the username will be jblogs@gmail.com. Typo there, so gmail.com. And then I'm going to set the password myself as the admin, so I'm going to enter the password. We don't want the user to change password at the first logon, so I'm going to click on save. And that's the account created on my IDP. So you can see we've got an account, jblogs@gmail.com. That's a local account that just exists at Okta. So we now need to assign that account access to the SAML NetScaler Okta application. So I'm going to click on my SAML application within Okta, and then we're going to assign that user account access to this NetScaler SAML app. So jblogs@gmail.com. I'm going to assign, click save, and click on done, and you can see now he's assigned that SAML NetScaler application within Okta, within the Okta portal. So that's all we need to do from an Okta point of view. The next bit of configuration we need to do is on our on-prem Active Directory. So within Active Directory domains and trusts, we need to create a new user principal name suffix, a UPN suffix. So you can see my on-prem Active Directory is carmo.com. Now typically to be able to log into the gateway and to a Windows VDA, you must log on with a user account that is in a trusted domain with carmo.com. So it can be part of the same forest and have a two-way transitive trust, or it can be in a different forest with a forest trust, an external trust, etc., etc. What we're going to be doing here is we're going to be logging in with a completely separate domain, gmail.com. That's not part of my Active Directory forest. There's no trust in place. So what we have to do is we have to add that as a UPN suffix. So I'm going to add gmail.com as a UPN suffix. So click on add, and you can see there we've now got gmail.com as a UPN suffix. we now need to create a shadow account. So if we go to our users OU, I'm going to click on new and then click on user, and the first name we're just going to call this shadow 20 for first name. The user principal name, the user logon name, this is the UPN. So because we've just added that gmail.com UPN suffix, we can now use that for accounts within my on-prem AD. So I'm going to create here jblogs@gmail.com. The SAM account name, that can be shadow 20. It's only the UPN that we're interested in because that's what the NetScaler will be using once it gets the SAML token and does the extraction of the SAML assertion. It will be using the user principal name. So you can see here shadow 20, the username, the UPN suffix is jblogs@gmail.com. Click on next. We're going to set user cannot change password and password never expires, and then we're going to set a password on this account. The user will never know this password. He'll never know the username, the SAM account name. As far as he's aware, he's just logging in with jblogs@gmail.com. So we'll click next, click on finish, and that's the shadow account created. So you can see here the user principal name is jblogs@gmail.com. SAM account name is shadow 20. We've got passwords never expires and user cannot change password. There is one other security best practice. We should set this option here. Smart card is required for interactive logon. As the users will be using Citrix FAS and logging in with a user smart card certificate that's been issued to the user, we tick this option so they can't log in any other method apart from using that certificate and the smart card. So we'll set that there. Smart card is required for interactive logon. Click on apply, click on OK, and that's pretty much all we need to do from an AD point of view. We've created the shadow account, we've set the UPN suffix to match the account that we've got at the IDP. What I'm going to do now is I need to jump onto my storefront server, and under manage authentication methods we need to add gmail.com as an authentication method. So configure trusted domains, we'll click on add, we'll add gmail.com in storefront, click on OK, click on OK again, and that's that done. If you've got a storefront server group, you would propagate those changes, so you'd come into here, click on propagate changes. I don't currently have my second storefront server up at the moment, so that's not going to be possible, but that's all the configuration that you need to do. So we're now ready to test this. So I'm going to log out here of my Okta tenancy because I'm logged in currently as an admin. So if we go to my NetScaler gateway URL, so remote.carmo.com, we've got a SAML policy, so we're going to get redirected here now to our IDP, which is Okta. You can see now it's asking for a username and password, so I'm going to log in with that account, so jblogs@gmail.com. I'm going to enter the password, click on sign in. Now because we've got MFA as a requirement, we've got on the Okta NetScaler SAML application, I've got a policy there which requires MFA for all users logging in. So I'm going to click on configure factor, and we're going to go through the setup and the enrollment of the MFA. So I'm going to click on next. I'm going to open the Okta Verify app on my phone, and I'm just going to scan that barcode. Okay. So the enrollment is now complete. I'm going to click finish on here. It's asking me a stupid security question. I'm just going to enter anything in there. Click on create my account. And now we should be logged into our storefront server. So if we come under here, top right, you can see it says shadow 20, which shows the mapping between the UPN jblogs@gmail.com and the Active Directory shadow account, which has the SAM account name of shadow 20, has been successful. What's basically happened there in the background is we've went to our NetScaler gateway, we got redirected to our IDP. The SAML policy has redirected us to our IDP, which we have on our gateway. The user's then authenticated at the IDP using multi-factor authentication. That account is just a local account at our IDP. It's not a domain account. Once basically the user authenticated at the IDP, the IDP has then created a signed SAML token and handed that to the user via their web browser. That's then being passed back through to the Netscaler gateway, that SAML token. The Netscaler then looks up the user's identity, and the assertion, which is the user principal name, is then sent to the storefront server. And basically here we are. So what I'm going to basically do is I'm going to just launch the 2016 desktop just to make sure the single sign-on all the way to the VDA is working. If you didn't have Citrix FAS, what would happen is you'd be prompted for credentials. The single sign-on all the way to the VDA wouldn't work because you can't log on to a Windows VDA with a SAML assertion. So basically you have to have Citrix FAS. Because what happens is the user gets a smart card certificate and then logs on to the VDA using that smart card certificate. So I'm going to launch the 2016 desktop just to make sure that's all working correctly. So basically behind the scenes here, what happens is Storefront contacts the FAS server and asks for a certificate to be generated for the authenticated user, which is our jblogs@gmail.com. The FAS server will speak to AD to verify the user. It will then contact Active Directory Certificate Services and will submit a certificate request for the user. Active Directory Certificate Services will then issue a certificate for the authenticated user and enroll in a certificate. Basically, FAS will then hold the user certificate and the private key. Storefront is made aware of that, but only the certificate and the private key is stored on the FAS server. Once the user basically logs onto the VDA will then redeem that certificate against the FAS server. So that's pretty much how it works. As you can see here, single sign-on all worked correctly. I didn't get prompted for credentials. I'm just going to show you a couple of things here. So if I do who am I and then UPN, you can see my user principal name is jblogs@gmail.com, which is my UPN suffix. If I do the same command but just do who am I, you can see it's shadow20, which is the Active Directory shadow account. So yeah, everything appears to be working correctly. I'm just going to jump onto my FAS server and I'll show you basically the certificate that got issued to the user and the certificate's private key, which is stored on the FAS server. So if we do get-FAS user certificate, and then if we do address and then paste in our FAS server, which is lon-ctx-lico1, press enter. You can see here this is the certificate that's been issued to jblogs, so jblogs@gmail.com. This is today's date, 30th of the 11th 2020, 5:32, and this is the private key of the certificate. So it's all worked correctly, everything's working as expected. You can create some rules on your FAS server to harden Citrix FAS. So if we have a look at the default rules, you can control which storefront servers can use the FAS server. So you can see here I've got both of my storefront servers. You can also control which users are allowed to use FAS. So you could create an AD group called Citrix FAS users, remove domain users, and then add that group, making sure user authentication's ticked. You can also control which VDA servers are allowed to use Citrix FAS as well. So you can see here it's got domain computers, but you would have an AD group called Citrix FAS computers, and then you would remove domain computers, and then you would make sure relying party is ticked there in the ACL. And that's pretty much it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Thank you.